are here with our very own Sarah Walker. Sarah, can you introduce yourself and your role at the Philadelphia Education Fund?
Yes, hello. I am Sarah Walker Adedeji. I am the managing coordinator for the College Access Program within the Philadelphia Education Fund.
Awesome. So, Sarah, what is the FAFSA and why is it so important for students and families to complete?
Yeah, so the stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. So I emphasize the free because there are some things you can run into, just like with anything else where you may see, oh, you have to pay for or do a thing. So it is a free application. Go directly to fafsa.gov and it'll be right there for you to complete. It's super important because it allows the institutions that you are applying to or the one you're currently in, because you'll have to do it every year that you are within the college system. So for like a 2-year or 4-year or trade school, whatever year that you're getting your education, you're going to have to complete that year every year that you need aid. So it provides you with the opportunity to get federal aid from those various or the institution that you decide to ultimately go to, as well as the federal government. There are also some additional scholarships that may require you to complete the FAFSA. For example, within the College Access Program, we have a $1 scholarship that does require you to complete the FAFSA in order for you to be eligible to apply for it. So it's definitely very important. It's like your key to federal and institutional dollars.
Thank you. And I think that's so important to remind students and families that it's not just about federal grants, right? That free federal dollars, the free federal dollars that are coming in, but also institutional dollars from the university that you don't have to pay back. That's such a great reminder. And so in a nutshell, what do students and families need to do to submit the FAFSA?
So you'll need a few things. You will need your social security number if applicable. If not, your A number. They'll have like a section where you can mark your eligible non-citizen and put in your A number there. They'll also need a federal student aid account. So we call it an FSA ID. And some students will do the account for the FSA ID and they'll be like, oh, miss, I'm done with the FAFSA. So that is just your account. So you've just created your account and you'll need to proceed with the full form. So if you haven't been asked for your tax forms or your income or anything like that, you haven't finished it, it'll have you sign it at that point. So that you will need for this year, your 2022 federal tax forms, all of your income. So that includes like if you own a business or own a home, the value of that home is included in that. Any assets that you may have, child support, any federal dollars that you are receiving, all of that will need to be included in, and it'll ask you line by line, but you'll just need to have that information readily available. So once you get to that section, you'll be able to complete that piece.
Great. And I think, just everything you said really emphasizes the fact that in order to complete the FAFSA, students really need their parents' support. And so I know parents are called contributors on this form. Can you just talk a little bit about if I'm a parent who is completing the FAFSA with my student, what does that mean in terms of my financial contribution to their education?
Absolutely, that's a great question. So with that piece, you are providing your information, and from there, that's really the only thing you are mandated, I guess is the best word for it, to provide based on the FAFSA form. They're not going to ask you to provide any financial obligation. It's just providing your information to allow your student to be eligible for more than just loans. If the student doesn't have their parent information, which we highly, highly, highly recommend it. So unless students are absolutely unable, like in a matter of safety for them to be able to get in contact with their parents, we definitely recommend that information, because without parent information, students will only be able to take out loans and they could miss out on grant opportunities. They can miss out on other opportunities. So we don't want to take that away from the students if that is something that they're eligible for. So having that parental support is super important, but all you are mandated again to do is support and provide that financial information. You don't necessarily have to provide the actual finances once it comes to the college process. It's helpful if you can, but it's not going to be a mandate based on you participating in the process.
Great. Thank you so much for clarifying. So fast forwarding in this process, can you talk a little bit about what is a financial aid award letter and how it connects to the FAFSA?
Absolutely. So with the financial aid award letter, it is basically um, a document that you're going to get from the colleges that will detail your financial contribution, as well as the institution's financial contribution. So the colleges that you put on, it's very important that you ensure that you put the colleges that you were even applying to, like in general. So some students will be like, oh, I haven't applied here yet. Well, make sure you still add it if you even plan to apply, because this document will have to process in order for you to make any changes to it. So we want to make sure that you have the schools that you're going to put on there initially, so that those schools can get your FAFSA, because they have to have the names on there to be able to connect. And then once they get that information, then they will be able to provide you with that financial aid letter. So it'll say the cost of tuition, the cost of room and board, and they will even estimate, in a lot of cases, cost of like transportation or books or any other miscellaneous things that you may need. And then they'll also do, at the bottom, they'll have the loans and grants and work study that you'll be eligible for on the like on the bottom portion. So an easy way to talk about it is like your free money, your earned money, your borrowed money. They'll have that in like your scholarships and gift award at the bottom. So the free money would be your scholarships. So maybe you'll qualify for a merit scholarship or a special scholarship that, like the Temple Promise, covers like full tuition. So different scholarships like that will be on there. Your earned money, which would be your work study. So having a job on campus that you can do, and then getting paid from that is usually a max amount that you can earn, and you'll be awarded through the office for that. And then the free money, earned money, borrowed money, of course, are your loans. So you'll have to pay interest on those. So those are like the kind of things. So it'll be a full list. And since the FAFSA is a little bit later this year, you may have gotten an award letter that says like, oh, you've received this scholarship or this scholarship, but it doesn't have that piece of like your, it'll say like estimated. It won't have like the actual federal awards or grants or anything, or even the FIA. Completing the FIA is also important because that'll be on there as well, like the SEOG grant and different things like that. You won't have that on there necessarily if they haven't received your FAFSA yet, because they need the FAFSA in order to get those dollars. So you'll know that it's your final official one when it has all of those things listed out.
That's a really, really helpful clarification, especially this year, since students may be receiving that sort of pre-financial aid award letter with the estimated dollars, and then the final once that FAFSA and VR are completed. So with that in mind, what do students and families need to know about deadlines around submitting the FAFSA and timelines for when they'll receive their financial aid award letters and actually commit to attending a specific college?
Yeah, so with the deadline piece, the FAFSA deadline itself is June 30th. However, I usually recommend looking at the schools that you're applying to. Like I know, for example, Temple here has a priority FAFSA deadline of February 1st. So looking for things like that you can see, like schools having a priority FAFSA deadline, and then also just trying to do it as soon as possible, because a lot of schools do want a decision. Like the national decision day in the past has been May 1st. I noticed some schools are adjusting it, thankfully, because of the new FAFSA rollout, and making the edits and adjustments from there. But so that'll depend on there. So my personal recommendation is usually try to get it done by March for this year, because it didn't come out until like basically January. Getting it done by March to allow you time to get it to the schools, have the schools process the information, which this year we're hoping that schools will start releasing financial aid letters in about April. So giving them time to like get the information, process the information, send you the letters, and then you be able to read and compare your letters to have a decision by April. Or even talking to the schools about like maybe extending the decision, but making sure that you're doing everything you can do to have that information. And years in the future, when it opens in October, I really recommend my students have it done by December to allow you even more time to make those decisions, and allow the schools to get that information as well.
And so I'm a student and family. We've submitted our FAFSA. We feel like, okay, great, we have this accomplished, but now we're kind of in a holding period until we receive that final financial aid award letter. What can we do to be proactive during this period?
Yeah, so I definitely recommend applying for scholarships. There are so many scholarship sites out there. Philly Goes to College in their news section does really great about updating. I would recommend that one to my students all the time, because there's so many different options available to you, whether it's trade school, whether it's a four-year college, no matter what your identity group, there's so many different scholarships out there for you. So applying for those scholarships, and even if they say like you'll need your FAFSA, going ahead and filling out the application and knowing that you have completed your FAFSA. So that thing is, checked off your list. So doing that process, also visiting schools if time allows, like getting on campuses. If you're unable to get to a campus, whether it's too far or just time doesn't allow, or you don't have that support to get on campuses, check in with your counselors at school, see if they have any visits coming up, or even do like a virtual visit. So I think getting familiar, if you haven't been already, getting familiar with the campuses, kind of narrowing down your decisions. So then that way, once you get your financial aid letters, maybe you have it narrowed down and you can compare those packages and then make your decision from there. So that's the whole thing.
That's really great because, again, kind of thinking about this decision, obviously the finances are incredibly important and going to be at, the forefront of this decision, but also viewing it holistically in terms of, is this the right campus fit? And the best way to do that is to see the campus in person. And if you can't, like you said, doing that virtual visit. So woohoo, I have received my financial aid award letter. It is here. What do I do?
Yeah, so there is, so if you are a math person and you want to take the time and kind of do a cost analysis on your own, more power to you, but there are resources that you can use. One is on collegecovered.com. They have a cost comparison tool that you can enter in line by line all the information that you received on that financial aid award letter. You can enter it in on the site, and you can enter it in for each of your schools. I can't remember off the top of my head the max amount of schools, but I know you can do more than one at a time. And you can do like a cost comparison, and they'll calculate like this is how much your balance is, and just kind of give you like an idea of what your financial responsibility will be, because scholarships are great and continue to earn more and more of them, but at this rate, in most cases, college is not free quite yet. So knowing like what you need to contribute to your college experience is helpful when you're looking at those. Next, with that, if you're like, something has occurred in life where I've had to had a change in my finances, whether it's unfortunately like a parent passed who was like the breadwinner or different things like that, talking to the school about their financial aid appeal process is really important, because when I was in admissions, unfortunately, we did have a student who, like, the mother was on the visit with her and everything. Like, we got to meet her. We had a great time. And between the time that she visited the campus and the time that she enrolled in the school, her mother did pass, and it was just she and her mother. So we were able to do like a special circumstance form. So finding out those types of things, because we understand that life does happen, we understand things change, we understand people lose jobs and different things like that. So getting connected with the financial aid office at the school that you plan to go to and talking to them about the financial aid appeal process, to navigate and mitigate those costs as much as possible. And that, like I said, college may not be free in most cases yet, but mitigating the cost as much as possible, finding options for payment plans or different things like that, I think are great ways to continue to achieve your dreams despite what may be going on around you.
And that's been such an encouraging and supportive theme throughout these interviews. We've heard from, everyone about really remembering that the people in the college admissions offices and college financial aid offices are there to help you. I think sometimes it can seem like this big scary place, but they're there to support you throughout this process. So knowing that you can call with a question, with a concern, to advocate for yourself is just such a wonderful reminder to students to make those offices seem, more accessible and for them. And so as our final question, how did financial aid, if you don't mind sharing, how did financial aid impact your own college journey? And what do you remember about completing the FAFSA as a prospective college student?
Yeah, so for me, the FAFSA was like a challenge. My dad is one of those people who I had to like explain the whole process. Like he has a college degree and everything, but he didn't want to give like the information on the FAFSA. And I was like, but I need it. So he finally was like, okay, I'll do it. But once we got into it, it just like it felt very like invasive and time consuming, but we got down to the root of it, and went ahead and got it done. Like, it was worth it. We did have support because I was blessed to have like a college coach that I did. Like a lady at my church was a college coach. And so she was helping young people through the process. It was helpful to have her with us as well, to be able to talk through the process. And I was able to, between my local church community as well as my campus ministry, sorority, and different things like that, I was able to get a lot of scholarships. So when I talk about like getting scholarships, applying for scholarships, like people actually win the scholarships, and that was able to pay for a large majority of my college education, which allowed me to be able to, again, mitigate those costs, like I mentioned. And my family was able to cover the remainder. So thankfully, I have no loans, which is such a blessing. So getting connected with the community, getting connected with different support systems. If you are a part of any type of religious organization or different things like that, it's in a lot of cases, they likely do have scholarships available to you. Check into those. If you are going to like an HBCU or different things like that, I was going to a faith-based HBCU. So I got HBCUs for going to it. I mean, I got scholarships for going to HBCU as well as scholarships for going to a faith-based institution that aligned with my faith. So finding those opportunities that align with your identity and applying for those scholarships, and not just your first year, but every single year that you are, completing your educational journey, I think was something that was very pivotal for me. And I'm so grateful that I was able to do that. I know it's not everybody's story. And I do, want to recognize that, but thankfully, that was the experience that I had.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. That is such a fantastic way to wrap up. Thank you for providing so much insight and information. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.